Greetings, y'all. Welcome back to Cypher Sound Audio. Today we have a continuation of my previous video about magnetic pickups for electric bass or guitar. Today we will be talking about wiring, potentiometers, so-called pots, switches, condensers for tone control, myth-busting some preconceived notions about those things, and some mods that you can do if you want or like that. I have guitars with and without that specific mod, and I have one guitar with a different mod. Some to alter the way the pots work, some to alter the voicing of the pickups. Just a quick reminder, I am in no way, shape, or form sponsored for any of previous and this video, even though I'm wearing promo material, but that's only because I love these companies. They do not pay me for advertisement, nor should I ask them to do so. So let's begin. So I'm holding a wood chopstick for Chinese food, but I only need one for this specific video so I can point stuff in the cavity where the wiring is. So let's start with a simple master volume, three-way toggle switch, and master tone. So if we look closer, this white thing is a big ass 220 nanofarad condenser wired to the first lug of the tone pot and to the ground of the tone pot, so on the top of the tone pot. And it is white because I used painter's tape in white color, because the casing is also metal. I don't know what metal it is, but to prevent any ground looping or ground issues, I just wrapped it with painter's tape and put it in. It's bare knuckle dual PO capacitor that costs 25 pounds. So only this capacitor in the whole guitar costs 25 pounds. British pounds, UK pounds. So convert that to euros or dollars, let's say euros. That is 33.22 US dollars. So 33 and 1/4 of a dollar. These pots, full-size pots, as I see on the interwebs, everybody is raging about having a guitar with full-size pots, are also bare knuckles, and this one as well. Then we have a switch. we have a switch here. So it's a Switchcraft switch, and Switchcraft output jack. So all of that, don't mind the plate, it's from guitar originally. I didn't change anything about it, but I got everything in here as a present, sort of a giveaway stuff. It was unused, never used, never put in a guitar. So I'm the first that uses this. Also, I swapped the pickups several times, but this is the first time that those pickups are connected to these components. So this is 550k kilo ohm pot. Also, it has a very small treble bleed. So 1 nanofarad in parallel with 220 kilo ohms to the first and the second lug connected. So when you turn down the volume, the highs don't disappear. So it's natural for guitars with magnetic pickups. If you don't have this treble bleed mod, of course, this is a guitar with humbuckers. That's why I chose those values. It's the same value for the resistor, but different condenser for single coil, if you want that. Like on a Strat, you put the same thing, but instead of 1 nanofarad, you put 680 picofarads, so a little less. And without that, air guitar, when you pull the volume back, let's say halfway, it muddies it up. It's like you're putting like halfway. So this is 10, let's say this is 5, and it works like your tone pot is suddenly on 7.5 without that. But with that, your highs, so your high frequencies, stay the same as when the volume is on 10. That's the way I liked it, this in this guitar, this specific guitar with this specific pickups. I also have guitars with master volume, master tone, and three-way switch, whether it be toggle or blade, with humbuckers that I don't have treble bleed mod, but it's only like 20 cents of a euro, so it doesn't cost much to go to an electronics store and buy a capacitor and resistor, wrap them around, and just solder them on lug 1 and 2. That's all that is. But let's go back. So I got this unused. My friend bought it. He wanted to incorporate that into his guitar. Before, I had different pickups, and these pickups, DiMarzio Transition Steve Lukather signatures, with original Korean pots. It just said made in Korea. They were also full-sized, but this was a push-pull pot. When I swapped the first set of pickups for DiMarzio 36th anniversary PAFs, I just disconnected the coil tapping or coil splitting and ran it like a normal humbuckers. So I don't like coil tapping or coil splitting my pickups. I have single coil guitars for the single coil sound. So I had the original everything. So this is made in Indonesia. It's Harley Benton. There is no name because it was damaged and I just painted it over. But yeah, I upgraded the tuners for Goto locking. They were extremely good Grover non-locking. I swapped the buttons for original Grovers and put the Gotos on the Grovers. And they are now in my drawer waiting for something or someone to pick them up and install them in their guitar or some project guitar I may have in the future that needs a better tuners if I have something that is really dirt. But all in all, this guitar was with original pickups, original everything. This guitar was new at Thomann for 269 euros. Thomann. So, and I bought it used, but like 1 month after, 1.5 months after buying it, the owner decided that he doesn't like it, and return policy for people in the EU with Thomann is 30 days. The 30 days has passed, so he put it up on local, let's say Craigslist, and I picked it up for 200 euros. So it's like $220. So, and I changed the pickups according to my preferences and this and that. I upgraded the tuners to locking tuners immediately. And it's because I had these tuners for a long time because I was planning to buy a guitar that has a 90-degree angle screw with non-locking tuners. Of course, with stainless steel frets like this, but this is Graphtec nut, and that one had bone nut. Either way, I wasn't concerned about that. I was concerned about having locking tuners. So let's go back to this. Before I installed all of that, I had the original made in Korea or and switch maybe made in China and output jack made in China probably. I don't know. I only know that on the pots it said made in Korea, but it's built in Indonesia. It says here. It's a very good guitar. I didn't have any problems. I love it. I play it almost every day. It's in my it's always within my reach. So, and this is the hottest output guitar I have, tuned to E standard. But yeah, the hottest pickups in all my guitars, this one has. So, the jack, the switch, the pots, the condenser, and the treble bleed all together cost, let's see, 79.93 euros, which is about 90.82 US dollars. So $91 for this. upgrade, and I'm really saying upgrade because I had the treble bleed in the original, the same. It's the same one in the original setup, in the original 500K made in Korea pot, and 500K and 220 nanofarad capacitor, and the cheap, let's presume cheap switch. It looked the same, so it looked the same, and the jack looked the same like Switchcraft, but I guess the Switchcraft is €5, let's say $5.7. There is no tonal difference, none at all. Like, bigger value pots should produce more highs from 500 to 550K. I don't hear the difference. The original ceramic block capacitor, and this is paper and oil tone capacitor, which is what they had in the 50s, and it should produce magical sound. It doesn't do shit. So this thing is only taking up space. You can I could have had the original stuff in there. And the pots are also extremely expensive for what they are. I don't know. Okay, the switch, I would always invest in better switches. Always. So no matter what, if I buy a guitar, if it's, let's say, Ibanez Prestige, made in Japan, I would buy an extra switch for that guitar. Or if it's a cheapo guitar, I would buy a better switch. But if it looks like this, I would leave the original and saved the better quality one until this one dies. Because I'm almost never touching the tone pot, but I'm very I use the volume pot extremely, and the switch. So, and in humbucker configuration, I always use only neck and only bridge, never in between, so both in parallel. So it's this and this and this and this and this and this and this. So that may destroy the switch after heavy use. That may destroy the switch. So I have a better one, or in this case I have the original one that is perfectly fine. And let's talk about the pots, the full-size pots, the CTS pots, or these bare knuckle pots. I'll give you another example now. This is a custom handmade guitar from a luthier in my country. It went through a lot of changes with pickups, but it started as, so it has 24 and 3/4 inch scale length, like Gibson scale length. So, but it started life as a single coil, single coil, single coil. So Strat-like guitar, and it had a 5-way switch. Now it has a 3-way, and it had master volume and master tone. That didn't change except the switch went from 5-way to 3-way. So it was direct mounted into the body, those 3 single coils. So when I wanted to put humbuckers in it, I needed to drill a swimming pool hole. That's why the black pickguard, which I carved myself because it didn't fit. This guitar is pretty smaller than a Strat. So it is Strat looking, but it's not a Strat. It's smaller. It's different wood than Strats usually are. So let's say older ash, swamp ash, and sometimes basswood. This wood is Obeje or Samba. PRS calls it Obeje, so Paul Reed Smith. Some other luthiers call it Samba wood. It's extremely light, and it has purple sparkles. And it was made in 2020, when before the purple sparkle guitars were in fashion. Now every brand has a purple sparkle guitar, but I was the first one. So let's talk about this configuration. Don't mind this. This is an isolated with painter's tape, elongated, so I didn't cut off the extra wire from the pickup. It's shielded braided wire from both pickups, so P90s. It has hot inside, and then the shielded braided wire is, let's say, ground or minus. So, and it's connected to a 3-way switch. And look here. So it's a 9.9 euro switch, so let's say $11 switch. Not your Fender switch, which costs 17.5 euros, but a Partsland, I don't know, some Chinese brand, Partsland quality switch. They have also those shitty ones, but Partsland switch. Then, if we look here, this is a full-size pot, also with treble bleed circuit, and this is a mini pot. They are both 500K logarithmic pots. Before, when I had humbuckers, I had 2 mini pots because the humbuckers were not with the single braided shielded wire, but they had 5 connectors, so 2 of them I put on the ground. On the small one it was no problem, but 2 big wires to solder on already used pot, I wanted to put the big one just for ease of use, ease of soldering it. Then a cheapo 22 nanofarad, I'm sorry, 220 nanofarad 100 volt block ceramic capacitor, and of course, a switch also from Partsland that costs, let's see, €2. So two and $1/4. It's the jack, and I painted it black with permanent marker because the theme was purple sparkle and black. And if you see here, this is where the Goto battery case was for the single coils, because I had Fishman Fluence single coils, and I removed that and put in my Henry's Strat with the Goto battery compartment, and I just grab a piece of plastic, cut it to dimensions, and put some screws in it so it doesn't have a big hole in it. But all of this, including the jack, the switch, the pots, the treble bleed mod, and the capacitor for tone control, cost me €15.5. So it's $17.61. Even with DiMarzio humbuckers that I had after single coils, and with both small-sized pots, so small-sized pot, big-sized pot, full-size pot, there is no difference. There is no freaking difference, because these humbuckers that were in here were those DiMarzio PAFs that were later in the previous guitar I just showed you. And there is no difference. So small pot or full-size pot, it doesn't freaking matter at all. Only the switch. Of course, I have an extra Fender switch, 3-way Fender switch, €17.5, so more than the whole thing inside, €17.5 switch, just in case this fails, but it's in there for more than 2 years, and it's been played the most. This guitar I'm playing every single day. Like every single day I play this guitar. So the most play out of all of my guitars, this one gets. And it's also always within my reach. So sometimes I use in P90s, I use the both pickups in parallel. There are, let's say, Schaller switches, three-way switches. Unfortunately, you cannot connect the one wire with braided, shielded wire going around the hot one, that when it's in the middle, so bridge, middle, and neck, when it's in the middle, the Schaller can put those two in series. So it's just the bridge, both in series, and just the neck. And like I said, this is just that braided wire that I didn't cut, because I didn't know if I would like these pickups. I like them, and I will leave them, but I don't want to mess with this. I don't want to cut that off again, unsolder this, cut it to length, solder it back. I don't need this. It's perfectly fine. It doesn't connect. It doesn't create ground loops or ground issues, hum, and everything, because this is Mojo Tones hot quad coil pickups. So basically hum free. They're not stacked. like Lindy Frelins. They are just differently wired. It's a whole other story how to explain it, but they are differently wired and they are almost noiseless. They are not noiseless like Lindy Frelins. But yeah, quiet. Because I don't use so much gain like in heavy metal or something, they are quiet. They are hum free. But I tried to use MXR full bore metal and they produce the small amount of humming, but also the humbuckers produce with that pedal small amount of humming because it's like when you turn the gain to zero, it's still a lot of gain going out of that pedal. It's, I think it's more metal than Metal Zone, MXR full bore metal, but it's much easier to get a good high gain sound out of that pedal than from the Boss Metal Zone. Like, no doubt about it. So, in conclusion, cheap or expensive pots, cheap or expensive capacitors. Those two don't mean a goddamn thing. Cheap and expensive pots. The only difference between cheap and expensive, and I would not say cheap and expensive, I would say lower quality and higher quality, are the tolerances. So the cheaper one may not be 500K, it might be 480 or 520, and the better quality one will be 504 or 496 kilo ohms. And the duration of how long they last when you play with them. That's the only difference. Whether it be the full size pots or the small pots, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is it's usable, even if it's a small pot that is cheap. There are also small pots that are extremely expensive. The only difference is the expensive one will last longer in the long run than the less expensive one, the cheap one. So don't be fooled by stupid things that stupid people say about paper and oil capacitors and those crazy expensive potentiometers. They don't do anything. Like, the only thing that will change your sound is if you change the value of your potentiometer drastically. So instead of let's say 500, you put 250, like on a single coil, it will get muddy. If you put 1 mega ohm, like on Jazzmasters, it will be much brighter. The same goes for passive, so non-active, without a preamp, passive bass guitar. It's the same principle. So don't buy that crap they try to sell you. Today, 2025, please think, use your head. The machines all make those things, whether it be China or USA or UK or Korea or Indonesia or Japan or whatever. The only difference between those pots are how long they will last. So the cheaper pots will last if you use your guitar regularly, like if you play guitar regularly, they will last a couple of years, and more expensive ones will last you maybe 1 to 2 decades, maybe more. Let's say Rory Gallagher, he sweated profusely. Every second gig, he needed to replace at least one pickup and at least one potentiometer. And every 4 or 5 gigs, his tech needed to replace the switch because his sweat was drooling all inside his Strat, his main Strat. And also that's why it's without any color or paint. So even the primer has gone, the wood is chipped because of his sweating. So even then, the regular Fender pots for him lasted 2 or 3 gigs, 4 maybe. But in this day and age, I don't think that much guitarists are on the road 24/7 like him, and they don't drink as much as he did. So most of us guitar players or bass players, most of us guitar players and bass players are, let's say, bedroom players. Maybe we have a band with rehearsals once a week and that's it. Don't buy expensive stuff to put into your guitar in hopes it will change the sound. It won't. So only thing, like I said, if you change the values drastically, also on the capacitor, you can change from 220 to 330 or go to 150, so it will pass higher frequencies, lower frequencies, better or worse depending on which way you go, up or down. So the only thing is how long those pots will last. And always buy an extra switch, because the switch is the first one to go, usually. Or something may go wrong and someone that repairs guitars may need to solder and unsolder something from the switch. And the really cheap ones, when you heat them up, unsolder it, try to solder something back, it melts. So you have an extra switch that is high quality. Give it to him when something goes wrong and let him change it if you don't know how to solder or solve the problem yourself. The other thing that I said, the mod. So let's bring back the blade switch. When you connect the pickup here, I have a Strat, so 5/8 position. I have a Strat that on a hot wire. Also, my switch is grounded to the potentiometer with extra wire, for just in case. I do that on all my guitars. So wire the hot with an extra capacitor, like I have on my bridge pickup. I have an extra capacitor from hot to the back plate that is grounded with 220 nanofarad capacitor, the same one that's on this tone pot. So cheap 10 cents capacitor to revoice the bridge pickup. So it gives it a lot of body, because the capacitance then of the pickup changes when you put an extra capacitor. So pickups have inductance, impedance, and capacitance. So you can change the capacitance of the pickup. That way you also modify the sound of it. So it just gives me a better bridge, a usable Strat bridge tone, and that's all it is. And it's, like I said, 10 cents. It's not even a dollar, it's not even a euro, it's 10 cents. And some wiring, that's it. So 2 lugs. I hope this was helpful. Once again, please use your heads. Do not buy expensive stuff like this. 90 US dollars or almost 80 euros for nothing, no difference at all. Or 15.5 euros or 17.5 US dollars. Nothing is different except your bank account. Thank you. Joao.